guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Veronica, and today we're going to be discussing another pathway to coming to the UK if you are in the healthcare sector. So the reason why I decided to have this conversation is because I think I've gotten a question about different pathways that you can migrate with or you can use to come to the UK. And then this is actually my sister. She's a nurse and she has had her own fair share of experiences. Let me bring her on to share her experience, and then you all can learn from it. So if you're a nurse and you know that you have it in mind to travel, then you can make use of this video and use the information in it to learn or to seek more information. I have someone with me and she's going to be introducing herself in a bit, but before that I want to implore you to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not. Take your time to engage with me and comment, like and subscribe on my channel. So let's go into today's video. Can you introduce yourself?
My name is Olamide and I'm a nurse in the UK.
Okay, so today we're just going to be talking about your journey, how you started, where you decided, or at what point that you decided that you're going to become a nurse. We're going to take it to the very beginning so that those people that would watch this video would learn from it. But most especially, we want to know how you're able to migrate from Nigeria to the UK after getting a job here in the UK as a nurse. So can you give us a background to how your journey started? Were you always interested in the healthcare field, or was it nursing that you wanted to do right from the start? So
the journey started when I finished secondary school. I was a science student, obviously, and I had the passion for healthcare and just a bit of caring for people and just taking care of people in general. I, being the only girl in the house, it was just like a norm to do it with your mom anyway. But I just wanted to do something in healthcare, but I wasn't really particular about nursing. I was either going to be a medical doctor, a nurse, a physiotherapist, anything that had to do with health. And having gone through JAM process and everything, I ended up in School of Nursing. School of Nursing wasn't really my first choice, but anyways, I ended up there and I graduated from there, and it was a bit of a shorter and a much more pleasant route for me, because I wouldn't have imagined going to like a 5-year nursing school, to be honest. Okay. I think everything that I needed to know was taught within those 3 years. And it really, really made an impact in what the nursing route would be for me. Okay. And I think that's it, really. And I graduated.
Okay, so that just to break it down, because you explained something about another route and the route you took. But for a layman, maybe because I know you, I kind of already understand.
Yeah.
So just tell us, how many years did it take you to go through nursing school and graduate? But if you had gone to a university, how many years would they have taken you, and kind of compare it so that we can understand better?
Right. So for the nursing school, you use 3 years. So it's just 3 years and you're done with your studies and everything, and you can go on to do any other thing. And for if you have to go to the university, you have to do 5 years. And that's it, really.
Okay, so when you're through with nursing school, you had the same opportunity as someone that went through the 5 years route?
Right. No.
Okay.
In the past, if you went to a nursing school, you get a job straight away. If you went, for example, if you went to a school of nursing in maybe Ibadan University College Hospital,
okay, you
would immediately get a job as a nurse working in the hospital there.
Okay.
But over time, during my own age, it was that after you do your nursing school, you were not really qualified to be a staff nurse in federal hospitals, except you are working in a private hospital. So usually you will go back and do maybe like a midwifery. So that they call it like a double certificate for you to start working as a nurse. But if you had gone through your 5 years, you only do an internship after your 5 years in nursing university or any university you went to, and then you would just get a job because already if you did your 5 years, you will usually do RN, which is a registered nurse. You do your RM, which is a registered midwife. And usually some schools will have public health, but I think that one is usually optional. So that gives like a better route or a better advantage to get jobs in federal, because as a nurse in Nigeria, which I'm from, that's the better route for you to actually get a job on time in a federal, because they pay better and have more job security than a private hospital or a state hospital.
Okay, so thank you for breaking that down. You graduated from nursing school, and then did you get any experience after then? Did you go into working immediately, or that was when you decided that you were going to move to the UK? What was the next process after that period?
Right, so before I finished my nursing school, I've always knew that I wasn't going to practice in Nigeria. How it was going to happen, I never really knew how it was going to happen. But it was during that time where people did not really think about leaving Nigeria. Like it wasn't as much as we are seeing it now. And it was just more of me in particular, just a personal thing, and me trying to say, because I wasn't really comfortable with the way healthcare system was. Even though the school I trained from, we had all the specialties you could ever think of, from neuro to psychiatry to everything. But at the end of the day, I still did not see myself practicing in Nigeria for a long time. So after my nursing school, I think I looked for a job, and my first job was in a private hospital. I worked in different private hospitals, and I ended up working in a school as well as a school nurse. So during all those experiences, I saw so many things. I worked in University College Hospital as well in UCH Ibadan. But I was like a kind of like a palliative community nurse. But when going through all those experiences, I never really wanted to work in Nigeria, because everything wasn't what I expected nursing to be, even though it was, I would say it was the best experience a nurse would have to build all the experiences you need. But I wasn't still really satisfied, because I knew there was something outside of what Nigeria had to offer me. So that was when I knew. And I would say that by the time I finished my last exam in nursing school, I kept on pestering my mom that I wanted a passport. I wanted an international passport. I never really knew where I was going. There wasn't any maybe Canada or Australia in place, or maybe New Zealand or UK or anything like that. But I knew that I just wanted to go somewhere. So after my exam, my mom took me to the passport office. I did my passport. And from there, I wasn't really, I just did it without actually knowing where I was going. But what gave me the information about how I was going to leave Nigeria was when I followed my mom somewhere, and one of our friends was like talking about there's this new UK job going around, and that they were going to give us free accommodation for the first 3 months. It was free flight, free ticket and everything. And my mom was like, you're not doing that, because being the only girl, she was very, very protective of me. And she was like, maybe it's all those stories where you
all of that.
All those stories where you hear maybe they are taking people out for prostitution and they're just going to everything, because it was too good to be true. So that was where it started from. Then at that time, I had a friend as well that his sister was here in the UK. So she gave us the information about it. And we actually saw somebody who was able to coach me through and told me it was actually true. And so that was how I was able to. So getting my passport immediately after school really helped. And the little places that I worked added up to my experience. Even though UK, they are very lenient with experiences, because from the School of Nursing they would expect you to go through student placement, and to be very factual, School of Nursing is really, really good in terms of that, because we always have longer placements than nursing students in the university. So it was more or less like I had so many experience, and like UK hospitals were very keen on, if you've gone through all those placements, that really adds to your work experience as well. So it was really, really good. I didn't really have to work for a long time before I was accepted into that particular route. So that was how I started, and that was how I got to the UK.
From what she has said, the first thing you have to change, or you have to build, is your mindset.
Yeah.
If you are not that kind of person that would want to maybe go outside of Nigeria to get your experiences, this video might not be for you. So she had that willingness from the start to want to travel abroad to practice. So all of our experiences along the line was what now helped her to later apply, and also the information that you have. That's why I made sure that we can, make this video and put it out to you guys so that you can learn from it, because this information would also help you. If she had not gotten the information, she might not have been able to, apply and do all of the things that she did with our experiences and our nursing school certificate.
So I would also like to add that in life in general, opportunity comes when you're ready for it.
Exactly.
If I wasn't ready at that time, when if I hadn't had my passport, because the information came so quickly that by the time I heard, like, let's say I heard in January, by February I was preparing for the next exam to write, and every exam I had to write had to do with international passport. So if I didn't have that international passport at that time, it was going to drag, because I was just going to start looking for where to do international passports, and those process really takes a long time sometimes, especially now where it takes so long now to get your passport.
Okay.
So if that wasn't in place, so I would say that, like she said, your mindset is really, really powerful, which is what you project in your mind that would definitely come to pass for you. So if you were like very lenient and you didn't really know, because I have friends that at the end of the day, when I started talking to them about it, they were able to see it as well, but most of them did not really realize that that's type of opportunity could actually come. So that was what made mine a bit quicker, but because I was like in my set in general, I was like the third person that really came to the UK that quickly when it was really, really hot, when everybody was coming in. So we came in even when it wasn't really hot, when it was just normal migration, until later when everybody started coming in and everything.
Okay, so I think the next question I want to ask you would be about like a list of everything that you needed, maybe just the major things. Now, I know your nursing school certificates, your passport, like you've mentioned, and then you talked about exams. So is there like a major requirement that you would need to actually apply? So we're talking from the route of getting a job directly from the UK as a nurse and then coming in. So she's going to tell us about all of the requirements, the certificates that you need. So if you're a nurse and you're watching this video, it's actually very possible for you to go through nursing school and then have all of the requirements that she's going to list and apply right from Nigeria so that you can migrate directly. So let's take us through the requirements.
So I'm sure like everybody really now comes to the UK, so this is not like a very new thing that everybody's new to be honest, because everybody I know knows about coming to the UK, even though we as nurses here as in the UK already know some other routes in Canada and the rest. But the major thing that you really need, apart from your passport and your nursing certificate or your university certificate in nursing, is you need to write your NMC. The NMC CBT is an exam that is like a objective structured exam where you do like a bit of answering questions. It's more or less like in paper form where you answer questions. So we call it the NMC CBT that the NMC UK would tell you to write. So it's part of the process as well. Then you need to write your IELTS as well. It has to be academic IELTS, and it has in different bands. So now there are so many rules. Everything keeps changing. But I would say during my time, you had to have 7.0 in speaking, in listening, and in reading. But you needed to have 6.5 in writing for IELTS. And I think that was like the major thing. Then we had to do verification. So after writing your CBT and your OSCE, you had to do a verification with NMC that they will now send to the NMC in UK to say, oh, you are really certified as a nurse in Nigeria. And also you go to the school, you go to your nursing school or university for them to write a letter to say you actually went to that school as well. During my time, some people were using proficiency in English instead of IELTS. But now I think no one really uses it anymore. But I think some people are still using it. But that is if your school is really, really good in giving good proofs. Because I tried to do the proof of English route, but I ended up doing the IELTS because by the time I went to school to get my proficiency in English, I think by that time NMC was very, very confused because different schools started bringing out different percentages. So let's say my school will say my proficiency in English is about 98. Another school of nursing will say it's 73%. So that proficiency of English just says that you were read and taught in English, but it didn't really work out. So I think NMC were not very happy about the way the nursing schools and the percentage because it was contradicting each other because they didn't really. So I would say it's just the way Nigeria is. There's no coordination with every other thing. So everybody's always doing there. So at the end of the day, I had to do IELTS. The professional English would have been an easier part of scrapping IELTS for me, but at the end of the day, I still had to do the IELTS. And I think that was really it majorly. Then after that, I had to register with an agency because then it was much easier route for us because we had agencies that were coming to Nigeria to recruit. Unlike now that Nigeria is now on the red list and so many other African countries like Pakistan and Afghanistan are also on that list. So then there wasn't any red list. So we had agencies that were recruiting actively from Nigeria. So I was privileged to know an agency through a very good friend of mine. So that agency helped me. So it was then you just give them your details and everything. So they will be like the intermediary between you and the hospital. So they have list of different hospitals. They ask you which hospitals you would like to go, either in the northeast or in the south of England. They usually tell you where to pick from. So it was like you had so many opportunities to pick from different parts of England. But people like us, especially Nigerians, were always like, it's only London that we know. So we're always like anywhere in UK is fine because they were the intermediary between you and the hospitals. They would speak to so if you say you wanted the south of England or anywhere, they would just speak to any hospital and they would just schedule an interview with you, and they'll tell you that your interview is on this day, and they'll send you materials that you need to read to prepare for the interview. So it was very, very easy. And immediately you get a job with they will send you an offer letter. So it was like that agency will be doing everything for you, be asking you about your TB test, telling you when next you need to go for your TB test. And it was so fun that by the time you got to the UK, after the accommodation they've given you as part of the benefits of you coming to work with them, they will also refund your CBT exam and your IELTS. So we pay your TB test as well, because you need to do your TB test for coming. So it was really a smooth ride for most of us. when the first set of people coming to the UK, so it was really, really smooth for us. So really, it's not as hard as it is now. Everyone has to apply directly.
Now you're saying those agencies do not exist?
So they do exist. They're still recruiting, but because Nigeria and some other countries, so any country that is on the red list they cannot actively recruit from them. So the agencies will not be able to actively come, because they usually come to Nigeria to actually do lectures and tell people about the fact that they're recruiting, because they still do it in India and Philippines. They go to their country and bring them over to the UK, but they don't do that anymore because we're on the red list.
So now you're saying that instead of those agencies working to bring people, you have to apply directly
now. But
every other thing might necessarily remain the same in terms of
we really don't know when the red list is going to be off now, and it's just a bit of we've had some also new oncoming issues now coming up against Nigerians as well, that the fellow nurses will know about the issues that have been coming up with OSCE in a part of Nigeria, even though it's not the whole of Nigeria, but NMC is really flagging Nigerians now. NMC UK, they're really flagging Nigerians for nurses now. So I don't know what the effect of that's going to have on Nigerian nurses now. So, but we can't say when next. Except the red list is off, so we don't really know when it's going to be off, because I think it's the WHO list or something like that.
So that's basically how you were able to move from Nigeria to the UK. And from what she explained, it's just about having the right information. If you have the right information, you'll be able to work with it. If you talk to people, if you reach out to people as well, you'll be able to work with it to, achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. So from what she's saying now, Nigeria is now on the red list, and it's not necessarily going to be the same process that she went through, but that's actually our own process of how she moved. What year did you move from Nigeria?
So I started all my processes in 2018, and I didn't come in until 2020 because to leave Nigeria is hard. So you have to, because I had to write my IELTS twice as well. So it was a bit of preparing for that,
starting early.
Yeah, waiting for an appointment date for TB, waiting for a biometric date. So months keep rolling upon months and everything. But I got in. I was supposed to come in like maybe December of the previous year, but I didn't come because the hospital I came in with, we delayed my COS for a long time. So by the time they brought my COS out in maybe November ending or so, my flight was just... So I had to go through the visa processes as well. So that took like the whole of December. So I didn't get in until like January. Okay. So all those things take like a bit of steps.
Yes, so you have to start early. If you know that you have the mind of traveling, it doesn't also have to be the UK. You have to make sure that you are getting information. That's why she shared our own experience. So you get information in relation to where you want to move to, number one, and what field you are going to be going into, so that you can use that information for your benefits to move to wherever you want to move to. So if you have any other questions that you want to ask, then you can always put it in the comments below, and then we can answer or reply at our earliest convenience. So let's quickly cover a comparison between the experience in Nigeria and the experience in UK, and how things have been generally, especially as a nurse. How was it? You also mentioned that you had experiences working in Nigerian companies in Nigeria, and then also now you're working in the UK. What do you think has been your experience generally, and how would you compare both countries?
So I'll just talk about my experiences. So I would say that the Nigerian nursing sector and the UK nursing sector is like very far apart because they're so different. Because when I was in Nigeria, from my own knowledge, I don't really know about anyone else, from my own knowledge and experience of when I graduated from School of Nursing, the only thing I knew was either you apart from being an RN, which is the general nursing, you either go on to do your midwifery and become a midwife, or you do like public health, or you do registered perioperative nursing. That's if you want to work in theaters. And some people go on to become community nurses, but most Nigerian nurses don't like to go on to do community. Call them community health extension workers. We call the CHOs and the CHOs, community health officers, that are usually in the community that we don't really need nurses to be in there. Okay. They usually just take hold of nurses, even though the structure is supposed to include nurses, but because those people already have started asking the roles of nurses, so you really don't find so many community nurses. But this school I went to, which is UCH, University College Hospital Ibadan, we had some nurses that were community nurses. Then you could go on to do occupational health nursing as well. But occupational health nurses were not very popular as well. So you were really, really confined to all those parts of nursing as in Nigeria, to the best of my knowledge about then. I don't know how it is now. I think after some time, when I started, by the time I was living in Nigeria, I knew that you could still go on to become like a travel nurse, where it's not really, we don't really call it travel nursing per se in Nigeria, where you go to people's houses, like home care nurse, where you go to clients' houses to take care of them. Because I did that a bit before I left. So, but when I got to the UK, definitely coming into a new country, everything is just new to you. You don't really know where you're going. It's just where they employ you to that you've been going first. But you're like, you don't know your left from your right, because you're like, what am I doing? So my first ward was a gastroenterology ward, which was where I was. So, but over time, I began to know that there were so many specialties and it was so endless. You can actually just stay as a registered nurse, or you go into different sectors of the nursing. Like, it's just so wide. I don't know where it starts from.
Wow. I can mention a few.
I don't know where it starts from, but I will just say that there are like some particular parts of nursing. I would say there's a clinical part, there's a leadership part, there's the education part as well. but I will say those are the three main parts of nursing in the UK.
Okay.
Then those other clinical parts, now there's so many
subsections.
Depending on where you are. I will mention a few though.
Okay.
If you want to do the clinical part, you can do different specialties. So depending on any specialty you are, there are so many. So we have what we call the specialist nurses.
Okay.
So if you want to, like in terms of career growth, apart from being a registered nurse, which is just normal general nursing, you can go on to, so we have the leadership route. So if you are on the ward generally, you usually just become like a band 6 nurse, which is like a maybe deputy ward manager, and a band 7 nurse, which is like the you can become like the ward manager, which is the band 7. Then you can go on to become like a matron of like maybe a surgical block, maybe managing the whole of the surgical block, and maybe endoscopy, because endoscopy is usually classified as surgical as well. So you can go on, you can follow that route, then you can go on that way. You can become like a deputy director of nursing. You can go on to become that route, or you can go into the specialty route, depending on whatever you really like. We have specialist nurse diabetes. If you are working in a surgical side, you have the pain specialist nurses that take care of people that are just gone through surgery and they need pain medications. And pain specialist nurses, they are like, so I would say that the specialist nurses are like independent as well, because some of them can actually prescribe like doctors. So they usually classify specialist nurses with ranks of maybe like junior doctors or something like that. So some of them can prescribe. Then we'll have the nurse practitioners as well on that same route on that same level with the specialist nurses. So specialist nurses can go on to become consultants. So because you picked a particular part of a specialty, so definitely what specialty means you've just picked a bit of what you wanted to do, maybe high or leg or something like that, for example. So you just decide to go to one route, and you can go on to become like consultants. Then we have nurse practitioners. Then we have so many experiences you can have as a nurse in the UK. You're not limited to anything.
So from your explanation, does it mean that it's easy to move around all of this?
So that's the beauty of nursing. You can move as much as you like. So, but for your own sanity and your own stability, it's always better to follow a particular route. So if you want to go through education, you go from maybe be like a deputy ward manager, for example, as a band 6. Know how you can lead. Just give experience of how leadership is and to be able to coordinate people. You can start from there and move on to maybe a clinical nurse educator, or you can move into the practice placement facilitator. So you can move from there, then you can go on to become like maybe go a lecturer or something. We have deputy director of nursing education. So you can go as far as that.
Wow.
So you are not really limited. So if you want to do, so the theater, like in Nigeria where we just have maybe registered operative nurses, in UK, if you want to go to the theater, that's a whole new specialty on its own. You can rise as high as being a theater team leader. Like it's just on and on. It's just on and on. We have nurses that are surgical first practitioners. I'm sure you know what that is, but they actually nurses that actually assist surgeons. They call them surgical first assistants. So some of them are now in nursing. They are now trained to do some procedures that doctors would do. So it's a bit of
it's a whole lot.
So it's a whole lot.
So you have a whole lot of branches.
Nothing is really involving in this part of the world. Like it's just mind blowing. Even as a nurse practitioner, there's so many things you can do. For at the moment, I'm in endoscopy, and you can actually scope like doctors as well. It's limitless.
So whatever it is that you want to do, you have the opportunity.
It's limitless.
Wow. So is there any other difference that you're able to notice within?
I would say in terms of technology, Nigeria is like way behind, because I would just use my own experience, because as an endoscopy nurse, some of the equipment that we use is to do these tests for patients are really advanced. We have so many equipments. I would say I really did not see. I would say as a student nurse, I only had the opportunity to see an endoscopy unit just once, and it was just one equipment they had. I'm in a trust, and we have different hospitals. In my own unit, we have like 3 rooms, and we have 3 different machines, and we have different scopes. We have so many the scopes and they keep evolving. And I would say that apart from the fact that NHS, people usually say NHS has been like maybe backward or something, but it's when you're a nurse or something that you know that
understand
they're
that they're doing
working.
a lot.
It's just that so many people are just sick that you need to take care of, and we haven't got enough people to do that job.
Wow.
That's when you know,
nurses, you are needed, okay? You are needed, and there is nothing that you want to do that you will not find. Like there's a space for you wherever you want to work, because like she mentioned, there's a whole lot that you can do. Yes, so it's limitless. So I think we're going to end on this note, because we've answered a number of questions that we think would make you want to press on. Maybe you have a thought in your mind that you want to travel out, you want to become a nurse, you want to do this, you want to do that. She has shared with you her experience. She went through the nursing school route from secondary school already. She already went to science class. She went to the nursing school, and she explained the difference between the nursing school and going to a normal university, even if one might be longer than the other. But she went through the nursing school route, and then she was able to get a job directly from Nigeria that took her to the UK. So what you need majorly is a mindset shift, and then information, a whole lot of information. So if there's any specific question that you want to ask, it's better for you to locate people or reach out to people that are doing the exact thing that you want to do, because like she said, there are a whole lot of specialties. So reach out to people, because there are a lot of information online. But if you know that this particular story of ours fits into yours, then you can reach out. Just ask questions on the comments and make sure to get it to her so that she can answer you directly. That's if you know that all of our journey, our stories aligns with yours. But if it doesn't, then you have to reach out to other people that are doing the exact thing that you want to do, either as a nurse or as any other profession that you might find yourself. But what I want you to know is that thing that you are looking for, someone else already has the answer. So you just have to locate the person and find the person. So if you're a nurse and you know that you want to travel out, it's very, very possible. It is very, very possible. It's just that things keep evolving, things keep changing. It might not necessarily be the same thing as when she traveled, but whatever it is now, you can still maximize the information that you have to travel as well. So thank you guys for watching till this end. Make sure that you're subscribed, and I'll see you in my next video. Be sure to drop any question that you have, engage with us, and we'll reach out to you as soon as we can. So thank you guys, and see you in my next video. Bye.